Hey folks, Randy Arsenault here with Red Friday Talks. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. And I actually have a special guest with me today. Her name is Colleen Connor, and she's a communications operator with Mississauga Fire. Colleen, how you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. And from what I understand, you've been doing this for 11 years now, and before that, you were with Peel Police. Am I
That is,
correct?
yes,
And,
yeah.
and what and what did you do? Were you a dispatcher or a 911 operator with Peel?
At Peel Police, I was a 911 call taker for 2.5 years.
Well, thank you very, very much for doing this episode.
Yeah.
I've been talking with your dad, who is Dave Connor, and people will know Dave Connor, retired firefighter. And Dave kind of brought up this idea about having you on, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic because we kind of touched on 911 call. What happens when you call 911? What's
Mhm.
the process? People who've called 911, they know that the person on the other line, they ask them for police, fire, ambulance, they get directed somewhere else. And people really kind of responded well to that. So I figured
Mhm.
this is a great opportunity to speak with somebody who's kind of been there, done that. And so, again, thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So, some people, I say some people, a lot of people, and
Mhm.
myself included, before I became a police officer, didn't know the difference between a call taker and a dispatcher. Can you please quickly explain what the difference is for us?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So different services are going to do things differently at
Okay.
sometimes depending on the service, you might have someone who's call taking and dispatching if it's a
Okay.
smaller department, but in general, they are two different roles. So the call taker is going to be the person who's speaking directly to the public. So you call 911, you're going to get a call taker. At that point, they're going to get the location, the nature of the emergency, that kind of information. And then it's going to pop up on the screen of the dispatcher for them to assign the right apparatus, whether that's police, fire, ambulance, um, assign the correct units to it, and then they are responsible for interacting with the first responders.
So the dispatcher interacts with the first responders.
Mhm.
The call taker, when you call 911, that's the call taker.
Yes, yeah. So the call taker, it's all going to be on the phone, and the dispatcher is going to be using a radio to speak to the first responders on their portable radios or their truck or car radios.
Okay, so interesting. So
Yeah.
myself being with Toronto Police for many years, we had dispatchers
Mhm.
who were located in the same city, and they were worked specifically for Toronto Police. They were Toronto Police dispatchers.
Mhm.
The call takers, could they be located anywhere? I mean, Jen, that's kind of a tough question. Where I'm going with this is there was. I've spoke to other police services, smaller police services, where their call takers or I hope I'm getting it right. Call takers or dispatches were actually located in an entire other city, in another province, and basically there's a service that handles calls and dispatching for this police department for multiple police departments. Have you heard of that much?
I've heard of that for, I mean, I could see that being something for like an alarm company or maybe
Yeah. Yep.
OnStar,
Yep.
where there are different call centers. For the ones within the GTA, from my knowledge, you're all in the same building at the very least, and most likely in the same room.
Okay, so I guess this was for a very, very small
Yeah,
department, so that
yeah,
I guess would certainly make sense.
yeah.
Now, what kind of training do dispatchers and call takers get? And is it the same training or is it different?
Um, I
Or
think
are they interchangeable, I should say? Because I'm asking very broad questions here.
yeah, I'll do my best. I think it depends on the service for sure. I can speak to my experience. For police, there's a lot to know because there's a lot that's not going to be a police issue. So people are calling in with like my neighbor's a jerk. I'm having an issue with my landlord. Lots of issues where you have to kind of figure out, is this something that we would even send for? Whereas with fire, for this is a statistic I'm making up, but like 95% of the calls that we get, we're going to be sending to. Whereas police, it's you kind of have to filter out. You can't go to everything, right? You don't have the resources to do that. So in terms of training, I would say there's lots of different branches of the world to know. Like to know, okay, that issue you need to talk to the region. That's landlord and tenant tribunal. So that takes quite a while. Once you learn all of that stuff, it's very transferable. Like there's stuff now where I've been with fire for 11 years. There's a lot of stuff that I know from my time at police specifically. So there will be some in class for call taking or dispatching where you're covering policies, concepts, all that kind of thing. And then there's a ton of supervised hands-on experience. So you're
Okay.
gonna, in general, start off as a call taker,
Yeah.
do that for a while, and then become a dispatcher. Because I think a good call taker will make a good dispatcher. It's a lot transferable if you're getting used to finding out what information is relevant, everything that you need to know to then be able to apply that on the radio because you're going to have calls pop up as a
Right.
dispatcher where it's going to have so much information. And it's like, I don't need to know their astrological sign. I just need to know where are they, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that you would normally become a call taker before a dispatcher, and hearing you say that, that makes complete sense. Do you enjoy your
Yeah.
job? Oh, good, good. Now, one thing I want to touch on briefly, because I mean, Red Friday talks, having a strong focus or emphasis on mental health
Mhm.
concerns is, it can be very traumatizing, and I'm using the word traumatizing, listening to some of the calls that take place as a police officer, even though you're not attending all kinds of different calls. I'll just give you an example. If you're in a shift,
Mhm.
you're working and it's night shift, you have a partner beside you, you're dispatched to a domestic or dispute or neighbor,
Mhm.
whatever the case is. But you hear and you have intimate knowledge of all the other calls as well that are taking place because you have to be able to drop what you're doing and maybe assist a police officers, you need to be aware of what's going on in your area. And when you
Right.
hear a lot of calls. I don't want to get into the details because they're traumatizing for
Mhm.
everybody involved. But to listen to as an officer can be very, very difficult. But what people don't realize is that dispatchers are there the entire time and they're listening and they're on the phone with victims or on the phone with complainants. Oftentimes they're talking through CPR. They're talking I don't know if you want to talk about that or not or touch on it, but listen, my hats off. I got nothing but respect for the dispatchers. And I didn't know how hard and how difficult that was going through. And the fact that they are absolutely touched by post-traumatic stress as well. Being on the phone with children or people who are really, they're in need and they're having a hard time and they're facing something and walking them through it. Uh, I'm not expecting any stories, but can you
Right.
touch on that a little bit? Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's different, I guess, types of
Yeah.
trauma that you're going to experience as a call taker or a dispatcher. It's not really a
Okay.
matter of are you going to experience, it's a matter of when. Um,
Good point. Yeah.
yeah, I think also this type of work, emergency services in general, particularly being a 911 dispatcher in this case, you're going to it's going to attract people who are very empathetic, who want to help people, who can really sympathize with someone who's going through something and wants to be that resource for someone. I'm definitely that type of person. So I think because it draws us as people, we are more prone to injury
Right.
in that way, right? Yeah. Um,
See,
so as a call
that's a
taker,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's another good point. You would be more prone to injury to that type of injury because of your empathy and the reason why you got into that job to begin with. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What an
absolutely.
interesting point.
So as a call taker, I mean, people are not calling to say, I'm having the best day of my life. Like things have already gone wrong usually by the
Right.
time they've called 911 and you're trying to do
Yeah.
some damage control. So yeah, you're talking to people in really agitated states or people who are very deep in grief. And you have to find that balance between getting the information that you need and taking control of the call and also holding space for that person and being a good
Yeah.
human. And that takes a while. I had a really hard time when I first started with Peel Police because I was 21, very sweet, very sheltered. I don't think my parents did me a disservice at all, but I was in a very stable, loving home, and I knew that we were not all dealt the same cards. I just
Yeah.
didn't know what those cards looked like for other people. So starting a job like that young, I'm very grateful for, and how it's been able to shape my worldview and just like open up. I can see that my experience is not everybody's experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But learning other people's experience was traumatizing for sure. I mean,
Of
people are
course.
having a hard time, and it's stuff I can't relate to at all. But what I can do is try to send them help, try to be there for them, try to do what I can. So there's a certain element of helplessness that you can feel depending on the type of call as a call taker. We can send the resources, we can get the information, but yeah,
Yeah.
it can be very emotional for sure.
Well, listen, that's a very, I really appreciate that brief overview. You brought
Mhm.
up so many different points that we could probably dive into separately and do an entire
Yeah,
episode on. Maybe we will do a future, an episode in the future if you're
sure.
okay with that. I
Yeah,
would like people to comment down below and let us know if they have any questions or if there's something that they would like us to cover in the future for this future episode. Please leave a comment. We read every single one and we do respond. So, listen, Colleen, thank you very, very much for taking your time. Is there I'm going to put you on the spot here, any parting words that you would say to somebody who's looking to possibly apply to become a call taker or a dispatcher? Any piece of advice you would want to give?
sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to deter anybody necessarily from this line of work. I love my job. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. I think it takes a very specific personality type. And I think knowing what's attracting you to the job is very important. Like, what is it about it that you think that you're going to get out of it? Because this job will absolutely give wonderful things to you, but it is for sure going to take from you as well. I think before you get into something like this, you need to be aware that there is going to be some giving of yourself. And I
Right.
think ignorance is bliss,
Yeah.
and you can't remain
Excellent.
ignorant and do this type of work. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. Absolutely. Listen,
Yeah.
thank you very much once again. Anybody looking to find out more information, please visit redfridaytalks.help. That's a website. We're easy to get a hold of. Thank you very, very much for watching. Colleen, once again, thank you so much, and we will see you in the next.
Thank you.